Hi, Zizaran here with another Blight build guide, this time featuring bees! And these are going to be exploding bees. So this is Summon Raging Spirits, and I'm obviously going to be using the bee skin, which looks amazing. And the build uses minion instability to make the SRS die and explode when they get low on life, dealing damage to everything around them. Now, initially, we're going to be using the new Burning Legion support, but later on, we can also use Tabukai in addition to this. And this is, surprisingly, maybe my league starter. We're about to show you a video of how my POBs are done. If you've already seen this, feel free to skip by going to the description down below. If you haven't seen them, I do recommend watching it because my guides can be pretty complicated if you haven't seen them before, and we use them to demonstrate and walk you through it step by step, especially if you're a new player. So first you need Path of Building. Path of Building is a third-party program that you can download, and it's in the description down below. It's completely safe, and most people use it. It's a very powerful tool that lets you plan out your builds and import items, stuff like that. Now, once you have Path of Building, you can go and import the Path of Building link here by pasting it here. Once you have that, it should look, well, it depends what build you're importing, because I'll use this for everything. But it should look like the build of the video you're watching. And what we do, and I'm using a Gladiator Thunder Cyclone build here as an example, I show a step-by-step of what the skill tree looks like at certain levels. So at early levels, it's very, very easy, especially if you're a new player, to follow. And I also say when to ascend, and the ascension points are generally here, and I'll talk about that in the specific video as well and why things are chosen. But as you can see, the skill tree is evolving over time, and sometimes there will be variations for, you know, if it's like different weapons, if it's one-hander, two-hander, and a lot of things like that. But wait, there's more. Under the skills, we usually do all like the different skills plus the leveling one. I'm trying out a new sort of like alphabetized group. So this is like your main attack skill. So as you can see here, you have ground slam to 8 to 12, but at 12 it gets replaced by Sunder, and I kept that in the same like A, just so you're understanding what I'm replacing it with if there's no leveling video accompanying it. So hopefully that'll make it very clear. Same here with obviously at early level you're using Ancestral Protector, and then you replace that same B with War Chief later on. So we'll also put notes, like for example here, Pulverize doesn't exist yet in Path of Building, and there's a few things that they're just not in Path of Building at the time that I'm making this guide. This is going to happen a lot on videos that are made around launch, just Path of Building's not updated yet. So that's just not much we can do about. And for the most part, I'll always put gems in a priority level. Like my first priority is always going to be Onslaught, just because it ups your clear speed so much while killing. And you can see like different utilities and stuff. And another example here is plus blood and sand, because that again doesn't exist in Path of Building. We also have different types of items. So here we have early game access, mid game access, and end game access. I think the jewels are displayed here. Yes. So the way I do this is I make some like fairly okay items that are like, you know, depending on how fast you play, somewhere that you'll have them between day 1 to 3. And if you don't know how to get a tabula, for example, you can farm that in Act 9 fairly easily in Blood Aqueduct. And we go through here, and it's I never in my guides will put resists on the life gear, because just you need to be resist capped. That's very important. 75% all resist. Remember that you lose resist in Act 5 and 10. And then on the jewels, I'll try to do 4-slot jewels and try to say as many good stats as possible for that build. So there's no like, you don't see the same one twice here, but all of these work for the build. Hopefully that'll help. And then this is generally how I recommend rolling flasks. There's even more in the notes as well. Mr. Madiki will generally go through and tell you exactly where to buy the skill gems that you're needed. This is actually a tip by another streamer called Lyric, who said he was sad there was nothing like this in Path of Exile guides. So I was like, that is actually a great idea for new players. So we have that. So if you're wondering where to buy things, or if it can't be bought by your specific class, we call it a mule. Then you have to use another character to use it or to buy it. And all the details for that is in here. So hopefully it now makes more sense how to use the guides and how they work. Let's continue with the build guide. So this is a Necromancer SRS build, and the idea is to use minion instability with the new Burning Legion. Causes them to get a Righteous Fire effect and degen fire damage over time, so obviously you want to be careful with getting regen or resist on them. With Tavukai, you might need to get some so they don't explode too fast. It also depends on your minion speed. But if you're SSF, then Tavukai might be hard to get because it is a Legion drop only. The Righteous Fire effect should hopefully be enough to kill monsters, especially normal ones on their own, but might struggle a little bit with rares and uniques, and that's where the minion instability comes in. I tested this build last league, and while I struggled a little bit on getting enough survival and stuff like that, because I didn't really want to invest currency into it, we're gonna go ham on life nodes this time, and the damage was insane. Like, we literally insted Shaper pretty much. So it should be a very, very fun build to play, and that's why I've chosen it as my league starter. There's going to be some other builds that will be faster, but I'm pretty tired after all like the pushing I've been doing lately on like the Vegas trip and stuff. So I think this is a good, fast, and hopefully tanky choice. This build is also hopefully something that, because I'm playing it myself, I'll be continuously pumping out updates for it if I change anything throughout the league, unless I hate it and swap to something else. And another thing, we might try using Astanat's gloves again to help with clear speed. They're really nice, but obviously I'm SSF, might be hard to get. So for me, I'll be starting with my normal racing stuff. I'm going to be doing the Freezing Pulse into Orbis Storms. I haven't decided how long I'm going to stay there. For most people, I'd recommend changing. You can change pretty early to save yourself a big respec, like 30-ish. And I think it would only be like a 14 or 12 point respec. So you'll get all of those respec points for free just by doing the storyline and the side quests. And I feel like SRS is really going to take off once you get Unleash. Unleash is going to be like the big, really, really nice thing. Bosses should be really easy with this build. If you feel like you're struggling, feel free to pick up a decoy totem. Now with the additional hotkeys, we have loads of room to throw in like additional things that'll help you. So when I played this the first time, I had a lot of open sockets and I didn't have a problem with gems at all. We do have more hotkeys now and more mini gems, so that might change. I'd love to be able to fit a Combs Heart, but then we definitely need unset rings and some clever gem usage. So we'll see where the build takes us, but I can definitely see that it's going to be more tight on gems than I initially hoped. For mana issues, it should be really, really stable. You should get enough regen just by clarity, and the only other aura we really want to use is like Flesh and Stone to get some more defense. Shouldn't have any mana issues and shouldn't need a mana flask either. There's not many useful level uniques you really want. If you're like trying to go super fast later in the league, then a +1 Tabitha with a +1 in power is really strong, but we're not going to have that early on. And there's not much minion stuff that really matters anymore. So we're going to grab Bone Armor as our Uber Ascendancy. That should be a decent amount of defense. And I'm going to try using Meat Shield Zombies as well for extra defense and soaking up projectiles. We're investing very heavily into life, putting us at 239% at level 100. And even early on, I think at 93, it is like high 200s. So very, very high life investment. And we're going to have like Flesh and Stone. We have a Jade, a Basalt, and a Granite. So especially while clearing, very high damage mitigation. We're also going to be using Val Molten Shell, which should be a big boost in defense when the Granite flask is up. You also have the option of doing defensive curses, because hopefully the way we build, we should have enough damage that we don't really care about getting more. So there's no particular auras we really care about for this build. I'm going to test out using Anger pretty early on just to see if it does make a difference in how hard they hit. But since we're planning on relying on the Burning Legion, and the minion instability, then it doesn't matter so much. So most likely, might just go early Mom just to avoid one-shots. However, that might feel a little bit bad if I don't use the mana fast. So we'll see what I do to survive early on. So we're using the new Legion support gem to make our SRS die faster. And if you're lucky, you can do Tabukai later on SSF. That could be a bit of a problem to get. Another thing that will make your SRS die faster is using Malugara's Lens and the Necromantic Aegis, which makes your shield apply to your minions. And that's just to make them die and explode faster. The biggest drawback to this build is that it can end up being a bit slow to wait for the SRS to explode. It depends, like, if you're able to get a Tavukai or a Malugara's Lens, then it should be very quick. Thankfully, you can also use something like Athena's Touch to clear more. The SRS does do quite a lot of damage on their own as well, so hopefully it will all be fine. Nothing in the build is particularly expensive, and I think that probably the most annoying thing to get is going to be Tavukai, just because it's a Legion only drop. So some of the big things that are nice about this build, it's basically just right click and occasionally curse. It should have very high power. Even like the one I played with a very low investment budget was pretty easy to do Shaper with. Like, it had very low defensive stuff because, as I said, I hadn't invested anything into it, and we also didn't have a lot of life nodes. But yeah, it felt really great to play. There was a bug last patch, which was the main reason I didn't want to remake it, was that Necromancers crashed a ton, which got fixed later in the league, but then I was sort of over it. So I've put up a couple of item sets in here for you guys to look at, some examples. We don't have the new convoking ones, which are like minion ones. But if you do want anything relevant early on, try to use a convoking one. And you can also use bound fossils if you do some delving. And that's how you can get minion damage early on as well. Shouldn't particularly need it. I won't be going for it because I won't have time to delve early on. But yeah, the new convoking ones sound really good. An early +2 minion dam should be really nice, especially until you can get like a tabular or something. I probably will be farming for that. My tactic's probably going to be pretty like slow and steady wins the race this time. Instead of like rushing, I'm exhausted. It's gonna be nice and chill. We're gonna be doing long chilled sessions. All the rest of the gear is just life and resist for starters. You do want to try to get some bound fossils, so I definitely hope to be delving. And you definitely want to pick up every like fair essence and stuff like that. Because I can't, it's so hard to slip in so many bees. Now because that we don't want the minions to die before getting to our target, minion speed is actually going to be pretty good. And we do want to make sure that you don't get like too much resist and life regen, because yeah, it's going to be a balancing act. You want them to die before they can like... You want them to die while still being in range of good targets. But yeah, all the gear very straightforward here. In the in-game version, we've put on a Tavukai, an Aston's Gentle Touch, and a Victoria's Charity. So what's going to be pretty much the best in slot, like you can use the 16 chest or a tabular or something like that as well. I'm hopefully going to be going for item level 86 or at least high 80s Elder Helmet, because you really want to get +2 or +3 minions. 86 is what gives you the +3 minions. And yeah, like you can get minion life, you can get minion damage, and if you use the horror essence, you can also do 30% more elemental damage, and you can, I believe, hit immolate on top of this. Now obviously now we're stretching a little bit, but you can get some crazy good helmets. Obviously you don't want a life on your helmet because that occupies one of the good gem slots. There's not that many other, I can't remember any new like minion gear that's particularly good, but using like the anointed oils and stuff, there's some crazy shit we can get. Like we can try to anoint, we don't know the recipes for this, like what oils we need to use yet because they are not out yet. But because this gives you +1 unleash, is really gonna be becoming for the build. Nice. Being able to get Ravenous Horde as well would be really nice for our bees, because it's so much movement speed and damage. The Onslaught doesn't really matter, because we're probably not going to get that. It's just as much movement speed so our bees can fly faster. Is really nice. Flask, pretty straightforward. No real unique flask we need, so I'm probably going to be going with a Granite, Basalt, Jade, Quicksilver, and Divine. Try to make sure you have Heat, or try to make sure you have Freeze immunity, Bleed immunity, and also Curse immunity. Bleed immunity shouldn't be too hard to get on a jewel for this build, because you can just spam on loads of like trash minion jewels. And then you can also have Staunching on top of all this. So fairly nice immunities through your flasks. And we have some examples here of jewels. This was cheap ones that I used on my previous B build. And it should be pretty nice. Bandits for this build is skill point. You just you kill all the bandits, get skill point. And the Pantheons, you really want the chain immunity from Lunaris by killing Ambrius in Colosseum. And you also want to upgrade Shakari to get poison immunity. They're like the Pantheons that I would recommend. So hopefully should be a really nice build, and you can come check me playing this build and, you know, see if I change to something else. Maybe I don't like it in practice, maybe it's not fast enough. You can come check that out at twitch.tv/Zizaran, and if you have any questions, you can drop them there. If you want to support the stream, we'll link all of that in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and try to die less than I do. I've been trying to slip in as many bees as possible. Now, because that we want the minions to... Oh. Bee. It's so hard to keep a straight face while you're saying bees. I'm gonna try. It's hard. Okay. I'm regaining composure because... Be serious now? This is unbecoming of a professional streamer. Okay, I'm gonna stop reading. Behave. I don't know how I'm gonna get back on track. I have such a hard time with like you be serious after laughing. I'm turning red. I'm sweating. Okay, I'm gonna hide chat for a little bit. you guys should be in here. It's hilarious. There's bees. I can't even start on the sentence without even laughing. No, because... Okay, serious face. Oh god, this is live on stream. People think I'm drunk. I feel that. I actually can't start saying now because... Bees! That would be really funny. I'm gonna say that all stream tomorrow, just like bee.